Alright, so quick little video here on short sales. What is a short sale? A short sale is when you've got an individual, let's say Jim Bob. Okay, Jim Bob owns a house at 123 Main Street, and for whatever reason, Jim Bob owes $120,000 on the house when the house on the fair market would only catch, or free market, sorry, would only get maybe 100 grand. So that puts Jim in a bind because in order for him to sell the house, pay off the mortgage, he's going to have to take $20,000 out of his pocket and give it to the bank in order for them to release their lien on the house and allow the property to be transferred from one person to another. There's all sorts of situations, a lot of them due to no fault of the homeowner or loanee or what have you that pop up in life. And it's, unfortunately, I think given everything that's happened in 2020, that through 2021 and 2022, we might see a lot more short sales and foreclosures. But foreclosures is a topic for another video. The short sale that's kind of the step before a foreclosure. So what Jim Bob's got to do in this situation is find a listing agent that is competent enough and willing enough to work with a short sale. I say that because, as you guys know, a lot of folks that get into real estate, they're just looking for an easy payday and don't really care about anybody but themselves and their easy supposedly paycheck, no matter whose life it messes up, which I have a huge problem with. And the problem with short sales is that they can take a really long amount of time. So I could go get pictures of the house, do all the negotiations, handle everything, do all this, get everything in place, and then we find out 6 months later that the bank is not willing to budge on the price. So I could have Jim Bob as my client. We could get an agent in place. And by the way, if you're an agent that's selling a house short, make sure that the buyer's agent knows what they're doing. I know on the one that I'm working on now, which I've been working on for 13 or 14 months now, I'd get these buyer's agents in here. I'm like, hey, listen, it's a short sale. This is going to take a while. We get the whole offer package submitted, and then a week later, when they haven't heard back from the bank that holds the note on the house they're trying to buy, what do you know? People are losing their jobs and EMD checks are bouncing. It's ridiculous. People are so scantless in this industry. It kind of blows your mind, at least at the beginning. But it's very, very important, I think, that unless you're like super experienced with short sales, to get a short sale negotiator. I use the short sale group out of Farmington. I think they're out of Farmington Hills. I don't know, but they're absolutely fabulous. I found them through a group I'm a part of through Brian Casella's personal coaching and mentorship program called Modern Success. It's an absolutely phenomenal resource for training, connections, and what have you. But it's critical, especially if you haven't done a bunch of these, to make sure that you've got somebody in place that knows what they're doing, has the gumption to get the job done, and is willing to really pay attention to the process. Because short sales can get hairy, and they get hairy very quickly. I mean, the amount of information that you need, both from the seller and the buyer in these transactions, is huge compared to just a run-of-the-mill transaction. If it's a regular old house with with no issues, it's literally fully executed contract, order the payoff, and we're good to go. With the short sale, you've got to get the buyer in place, you've got to get the EMDs in place, the seller needs to fill out a particular package that demonstrates that they had a hardship, which is why they couldn't pay their mortgage. The buyer needs to convey all their information to who's ever handling the short sale on the negotiation side. So instead of just buyer and seller and listing and buyer's agent, you've got buyer, seller, listing agent, buyer's agent, short sale negotiator, and the bank. And it's like, you can have a situation where you put a house up on the market, let's say in January, you get a good price on it. You don't hear back from the bank as to whether or not they're going to take it until April, and they might counter at a price that doesn't really make sense for the condition of the property. So you'll find, like, the cool thing about short sales, at least for the buyers, is that, you could get into a situation where you're getting a property at a 20 or 30% discount, and a lot of the damage that is, or has taken place at the property is, it can be taken care of with a little bit of elbow grease. So for first-time home buyers, if you're in a position where you can wait, 3, 4, 6, 12, 18 months for this whole process to get done with, then you can get into a place and have a little bit of value add, which is always great. It's tough to find on-market properties where there's a value add potential. I'm sorry, I got a bug in my face, but it's tough to find properties where there's potential for value add. Usually you get into a place, it's marketed, let's say at $250, you're gonna pay $250, and it's worth $250. Now the value is still gonna grow over time because the government does nothing but print money, which is good if you're a homeowner, or another kind of investor. But you're not going to be able to get like a $20,000 or $30,000 chunk of equity out of the property right when you move in. So not that that should be a showstopper, but it's just something to keep in mind if you're one of those few that wants to try and wheel and deal in real estate. But the thing of it is, with these short sales, if you don't have all the proper pieces in play and everybody's not on the same page, I mean, it can be phenomenally messy. I mean, you've got people that might be at the bank that holds the note causing problems. You may not have a competent negotiator in there. You could be 3 months into the process and the buyer loses their job, and now who knows what has to, whole process has to start over again. So I would definitely not caution people from going into short sales. I would just say that whether you're the agent that's listing it or the buyer's agent or the buyer, just be aware that it can get hairy. Most of the time, it can be worth the effort. You might find a property that comes onto the market that, in that particular neighborhood, there's not a lot of properties that are coming up for sale, and the only way you can get into one is through a short sale. So they can provide opportunities. Just make sure that you've got, the future valuation of the property down correctly. Make sure you've got an agent that knows what they're doing. Make sure the listing agent has everything lined up, and just be ready to be patient. Like I say, there's nothing short in terms of time when it comes to a short sale. In terms of time, they should really call them long sales. The reason they call them short sales is because the property is selling short of the balance that is owed on the note. So that's about it. If you have any questions about short sales or real estate in general, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help you out any way that I can, whether you're in Michigan, the United States, or the world as a whole. I can more than certainly place you with somebody who can help you out. So hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great rest of your weekend. Ha ha.